Better be prepared for an opportunity and not have one than to have an opportunity and not be prepared. Many people find themselves in an opportune time, but they're not prepared for that opportunity. Prepare, my friend. If you prepare, you won't have to repair. This university called Hard Knocks is a university of people who are willing to go to their next level. And when you are willing to go to your next level, my friend, you don't laugh when someone else is fall. And actually, I speak about 3 people. The first ones, I call them undertakers. These are negative people. They are negative about anything and everything. Undertakers, they will actually take you 6 feet under. Undertakers cannot see anything good in you. Not because of you, it's because they don't see anything good with themselves. And if I don't see anything good with me, there's no way I can see something good with you. So undertakers, aphetwa isifo ekuthiwa pneumonia. NgesiZulu. Umona. You see, something about pneumonia. Pneumonia always mirrors other people as bad. Always mirrors other people as they are doing this at your expense. Uke wabona? Ubona umngani wakho ungena ngemoto entsha. Uzoyoshaya umthandazo mari uNkulunkulu mina. Imoto ye-street phela kulo muntu mina ke angene yofana.
Hi, it's been a while. Welcome to another Corporate Pantula video. My name is Lungelo Kuzayo and I am officially a 3rd-year SAICA trainee accountant and audit senior working for a Big 4 accounting firm. And it's really been a while. I think the last time I released a video was last year, maybe. Things have been so busy. And I'm happy that I managed to make the time to actually make a video today because the APC exam, the 2024 APC board exam results are officially out. And yeah, just to reflect a bit, that paper was intense. I remember that paper had topics that were ranging from the solar energy industry all the way to the coffee industry. At some points, we were asked about doing some tax implications for solar as a service agreements, and then the next points we were doing some capital raising. They wanted some advice on that, and it was really an intense paper because it was not only was it not confined to one industry. SAICA still brought the intensity of or the diversity of the different modules that you are exposed to as a trainee accountant. We had tax, we had audits, we had accounting, we had financial management. All of it came together in different industries. So it was quite a tough paper to navigate. And I am hoping in this video that, considering that the results have recently come out and there was a 73% pass rate, oh my God, that is quite amazing, And I when this group, because the majority of the people who was writing this APC exam was the same people who are writing the ITC board exam. Did they not break records then? Because I think it was an extremely high pass rate in the 2023 ITC board exam, and some people are like, maybe the paper was easy, whatever. It wasn't. I know people who failed and they are also smart. It wasn't. But this group appears to be very smart. It's something that my girlfriend taught me, and I was like, I actually didn't think of that because the ITC, there's a record somewhere, somehow, that was broken there because, the pass rate was so high. And then they do it again, APC. Ngari, we received a call, from SAICA that says, hey guys, we are in shortage of accountants are in demand. And the whole group was like, Naskawara, we got you. We got you, will deliver, because the pass rate was just that high. And perhaps the group that was writing the CSAPC board exam is just like a very good group. It's a good batch. So I'm really excited to talk a bit about that, and the results being that there are people who also did not make it, and a failure is just one of those things that is very hard to deal with. I struggle with it. I think most people struggle with that, and I'm hoping that I will focus a bit more on that inside this video because those are the people that I actually want to talk to. Like if somebody watches my videos or been looking at my journey and and failures that I encounter and say, hey, that person was able to do it and they turned out to be fine. And I'm hoping that that's the same kind of value that I can put into these videos. But as I get into it, I think one of the first things that I want to talk about is the fact that when overcoming failure, particularly talking about the APC board exams, it's really a thing of, or the advice that I would give, not just in terms of like the APC, whether you're preparing for your ITC since you're writing this June, whether you're preparing for a test or an exam in university, undergrad, CTA, whomever you may be, we all encounter failure at some point, but there are those people who literally have never encountered failure ever at the CASA journey, and hurrah to them. That people first year, second year, third year pass first time, move on to CTA, smash it, pass, ITC first time, APC cleared first time, and it's just a smooth sailing route. But for a lot of us, it is quite difficult. It is quite difficult, and I'm hoping that the advice that I would put into this video is something that somebody would at least find valuable. Is that fair? That's fair. So I think one of the first things to do whenever encountered with failure is to, and this sounds very harsh. I'm trying to find a nicer or more pleasant way to put it, or a more sensitive way to put it. But there's a beautiful quote by Jordan Peterson in which he says, realize the role that you play in your own suffering. And I found that to be quite profound. It's a quote that I carry with me since I was repeating my third year. Because a lot of times when we encounter failure, we tend to externalize and we try to project, and we think that the reason that we failed is because of external factors, a laptop that didn't work, the board course that I was taking, all of these different kind of things. This person was distracting me, that, and we minimize the role that we play in our own suffering. And in terms of APC, it may be anything. It could be anything. It could be a lack of boundaries. It could be not a lot of work was put in. It could have be uh, it's just a lot of things that could have been the reason why I didn't make it when it came to APC. And and in this video I want to share the things that worked for me, like in hindsight, looking back, because I've already released a video in which I talk about the APC, and I did say in that video that if I pass the board exam, I'll come and update the channel, and if I fail, I will still come back and update the channel. And this is me updating the channel right now. So the first thing that I would say, right, is realize the role that you play in your own suffering. And that's going to hurt, and it's going to require a lot of introspection and a lot of reflection. But only once you are able to identify exactly what the problem is and what mistakes that I have made, only then can I start solving them. Because I think the second part is now to forgive yourself. At the end of the day, we are human. We make mistakes. We will not get it right all the time. Sometimes we will not get it right 4 times before we get it right eventually. But we need to forgive ourselves. You are human at the end of the day. And I think the third thing when it comes to the APC and trying to overcome this hurdle, this obstacle, is to be obsessed. You know, be obsessed. I was so intense with my APC to a point where when I went to go write my exams, I literally dressed up like the scenario. Now, for sure, I did this to put a smile on people's faces because it is so tense in those exam rooms. It is so tense at Gallagher. It isn't so tense in that exam hall, whatever university you might be writing an exam in. And I decided, let me, and it did put a smile on people's faces, and some people wanted to take pictures of me, and that made me happy because it's such a stressful moment. But despite me just doing that to put a smile on people's faces and whatnot, it was actually also a reflection of just how deep I'm in this thing. When we had our exam at the APT podcast, shout out to you guys, because that's the podcast that I took. I literally dressed up like a miner because the scenario was based on mine. The exam that we were writing was predicated on the mining industry. And as much as I was doing it to just lighten the mood and cheer up some people, it was a reflection in some way of just how obsessed I am about this scenario. Because a lot of people that I've realized, and some of the people that I've worked in, a lot of people sometimes do not take it seriously enough. They are in the board course. Some people did not even make it out of the board course. Some people did, and then they didn't pass the final exam. And it's not because they did not take the exam seriously enough. I know a lot of people who did not take the board course seriously enough. Some of them winged it and they passed by I don't want to use the word luck, but some people, like they just barely made it, and unfortunately that same luck did not come through in the final APC psych board exam, because some people did not take it to, like, if there's any advice that I would give, one of it would definitely be, even if it's a mock, whatever scenario they give you, one of the things that helped me tremendously is to take it as seriously as if it was a December SAICA 2024 board exam. So take it seriously, be obsessed. That's the first thing. Study with intense ferocity. I was at war when I was preparing for those exams. I did not, like, literally, and this is me moving on to the second part, right? No, actually, it's the third part, because the first part is like more of a psychological thing in which you realize the role that you play in your own suffering and you accept it, and then you forgive yourself. And then the second part would be to be obsessed and take responsibility. And I think the third part is to cut distractions. Like, there is literally nothing, like, if anything you had to say had nothing to do with my scenario, like with the second I really received that pre-release, I did not have WhatsApp. Oh, no, I'm lying, I did have WhatsApp, sorry. I did not have TikTok, I did not have LinkedIn, I did not have Instagram. Cut off, like, I did not have Twitter, like, cut all of these things off, because right now you do not need to be putting nonsense inside your mind. Like, the only thing you could, if you're talking about anything that has nothing to do with my exam, the one that I'm writing when it's in the podcast or in the actual exam, I did not want to hear it. I did not want to hear it, because the only thing that I have to be talking about right now, the only thing that I need to be thinking about is this beautiful scene in industry in which I go to bed with that number.
I go to bed with that number.
It was Eric who said that, but I was literally that guy. Like from the moment I wake up to the moment that I sleep, all I thought about, all I spoke about, all I consumed, whether it's on my phone, whether it's on the laptop, whether it's through conversations, was about the scenario. I did not have any distractions. This was the only thing that mattered to me. But I was focused that intensely, and that's one of the things that I'd really, really recommend. Focus, cut out all distractions. Because there's this beautiful thing that one of my managers told me when I was asking for advice regarding to the APC and how to pass, and he literally told me that, and I'm gonna butcher this quote, right? Well, not quote, but this is what he said, so I'm quoting. So it is a quote. I'm gonna butcher it, right? He said it a lot more eloquently than I'm about to say, but he said, 5 days of sacrifice will determine whether a year long of punishment. Something along those lines. He said, because it's 5 days to do the research, right? And he said these 5 days could result in a year long punishment, something like that. Because if you do not pass within those 5 days, like, if you do not prepare enough, you do not study enough, and you write your exam and you fail, you have to wait a year before you can write that exam again. He said it in a much more eloquent way, but I hope you get the point. So in that 5 days, do not, like, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your parents, your family, your friends, focus. If they love you, they will let you, they will understand. So that's like the third part. And the fourth part, one of the things that I would say is that, and this is becoming a bit more technical, is that when you start writing that exam, right, or as you take that exam or as you do that exam, one of the most important things is to have a proper layout. Because you're reading a scenario, and as I was reading the scenario, one of the things that worked for me is that I was literally drawing out a diagram or a sketch or a blueprint as to how I'm going to answer my question. And this is planning. You need to plan your answer. You don't just get there and start writing it. No, no, no. Plan your answer. As I'm reading, I'm seeing that, okay, so the board, the CFO is asking me to give the pros of this, the cons of this, some tax implications for this thing, and the accounting implication of that thing. Like, I'm reading the scenario, and over here they said I need to consider the strategic considerations of this thing. What are the possible tax implications, and how would I take this into account in the financial statements or in terms of presentation and disclosure? And another, so those are all headings. As I'm reading, I'm writing down the heading, and I'm leaving down space, because that's where I'm going to put my bullet points. Writing down a heading, leaving down some space, and I have all the headings. By the time that I actually do this, by the time that I start actually typing and writing in my answer, it's game over for you, because every single thing is laid out. I know exactly where my answers are going. I do not need to think about it. I don't need to. And it's very important to get this part right. It's one of the most important things. If there's anything you take out of this video, it's literally that. Have a proper layout and answer everything. Because if your layout is properly put into your email, it is hard to miss something. And that's a deadly mistake when it comes to APC, is missing something that they asked you to respond to. You're not professional. The client is asking this, or the CFO, or the board of directors is asking that, or the chairman of the board is asking that, and you answer certain things and you leave out certain things. What's that? You need to answer everything, but also the way in which you write your answer. This is a skill that you accumulate over time. And I think this is what helps to write a proper email, is to literally pretend that there's another actual human being on the other side who will be reading your email, an actual company or actual person, an actual CFO or a director. Because you're not just writing down an answer and submitting it and hoping that you will pass. You're not just dumping the theory. No, 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 no. You need to respond to what the person is asking you. So pretend you're literally at work and the client is asking you a question, and this is what you would respond. And if you're working with people, is that if your email is too short, you might miss out on something that is important. But then if it's too long, then it might not even be relevant, And when they are reading this email, some people don't even read emails if they're too long, right? So you need to make sure that your email is not so short that you miss out on irrelevant information, but it's not so long that it becomes it becomes like you're theory dumping and you do not know what you're talking about. You need to make sure that you have every single important point and it's concise. Every single thing you write has to be constructive. Every point. And having that layout helps, because also when you are dealing with time in terms of time management as you approach your APC, you might realize that, hey, I'm spending a bit too much time under this heading. I still need to understand those last two headings over there. So let me write 1 point here. Let me write some 2 points here, 2 points here. Let me come back. I have a point that I just thought about. Oh, and because everything is just laid out properly, it's very hard to miss. And you need to give at least a fair shot in every single question that you need to respond to, and that is the advice that I would give if you are preparing for your APC, right? That's the advice that I would give, because that is the advice that worked for me. That's the advice that worked for me. And I'm not saying this because I am flexing or I'm boasting or anything of the sort. I am just hoping that as I make this video and I publish it and I release it to YouTube, that there will be somebody out there who might be writing the APC for the third time or the fourth time, or maybe even the first time, that takes some value out of these videos and goes apply some of the things that I said. Because in one of my videos in relation to APC, I did say that if I pass APC, I'll come back and update the channel. If I fail up APC, I'll come back and update the channel. And I'm here to update the channel and say that I passed. I passed. So the things that I was doing, they were not for nothing. The videos that I have made. Because if I did not pass, I would come back and say, guys, everything that I said, all those videos, scrap that. Did not work. But it worked. And I hope it helps someone out there. Because I remember when I finished writing that paper, I collapsed to my hands and I cried. It was a few minutes before the time I actually ran out, and I cried because I had nothing left in me. Like I had nothing left in me, because I gave it all I got, like I gave it all I got, everything I had, everything in me. I left it there inside that paper, inside that venue, and I cried. I remember so many thoughts came rushing through my mind. Everything, like all of these years of studying, all the pain, all the suffering, all my blood, sweat, and tears, all those late nights studying, the time when I failed, the time I had to go home, when I had to study through UNISA and had to stay home, and uh, passing my ITC and doing my art, like everything came to this one moment, everything culminated to this one point, and I fell on my hands because it was a lot, I knew right there and then, and again, I'm not saying this to flex or anything like that, but I knew at that point when I stopped typing, it was a few minutes before the timer ran out. I knew that I passed. I knew it. I just knew it. Because to me, there was nothing more that I could have done, guys. I've done the SAICA papers. I've attended every single lecture that the APT podcast did. I attended extra lectures. I watched the SAICA videos. I did past papers. There's nothing I didn't do. Like, God, I need to get this. Like, God, I am worthy, Like, I am worthy. Like, I put in the work. And now it's time to get the rewards. Because the worst thing that can happen is to put in the work and not reap the rewards. And I was like, I'm reaping my rewards today, and I fell to my hands and I just cried, and I felt like, God, like, is this it? Like, am I finally a CA? Is this what it feels like? It was like an outer body experience. I can't describe it. I know some people had that feeling now on the 28th and the cycle results came out. I felt it inside that exam room. Spiritually, that's why I became a CA. There's still some LORs I need to claim, some competencies I need to claim. I still need to finish my articles, and then that's when I'll officially become a CA. But spiritually, I'm already a CA, and I became a CA that day. I became a CA that day. God had already said, "Yep, my, my boy, you're a CA now." Like I felt it, and I wouldn't have felt that if I did not put everything on the line for this thing. Like, man, I get emotional just thinking about it. But that's when I celebrated my APC. When the results finally came out on Friday, because I had already told my girlfriend and I've already told my baby sister that before, like that day when I finished writing my APC board exam in December last year. I think it was the 4th of December when I finished writing my APC. That same day, like, bear in mind, like, nobody has even marked anything. Like, if anything, the papers are not even at SAICA yet. The thing is still uploading online or whatever. But I told them the second we got out of that exam room, I remember I texted my sister and I said I passed. And she said, I also believe you passed. I've seen how hard you work. I saw your work ethic. Like, I knew right there and then. And they haven't even marked, and I'm already manifesting this pass. And when the results came out, I wasn't surprised. I was scared. I was nervous, but I wasn't surprised though. I wasn't. Again, I'm not saying this to flex or anything like that. This is just me reflecting on what my APC experience has been like.